in the hand sanitizer days, we were told about 3 days before we were going in the Sunday Times, we were like, you're going in India night. She makes a specific point, please don't be out of stock, because her readers get pissed off. I was like, yeah, it's cool. Like, we've got a couple thousand bottles. Like, it's not, how big is it going to be? It's Sunday Times. Article came out online at 12 o'clock at night. I think by like 12:15 we'd sold out. I was like,
it was ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it.
Right then, back with another episode of the Midnight Pod. I think one episode like 40 at this point. It's getting quite mad. We've just hired an editor and an assistant for the pod. I was just saying, shit's getting real. We have Charlie and Jack from Purdy and Fig on the pod, and we spent like half an hour just off camera as usual chatting, and for once we're on gin instead of red wine today, even though it's a Wednesday, about your story, and I'm getting little bits of it. Like we only very briefly like internet met on Twitter, like what, 3 days ago or something, and I was like, fuck, I need an episode this week. It sounds like a good one, because I'd seen your brand but I'd never seen you, and that's the magic of Twitter, which I've realised, and I think you're starting to realise as well.
Yeah, it's great.
You said you only just joined it, even though your headshot on Twitter is like a fucking avatar, so I was trying to work out, is this guy real or not? Same on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess first question, we'll dive into a billion things as usual. There's never any like actual agenda to it. Like, what's the story with the brand? How did it get started? And I guess maybe a bit of background, like what you were doing before, and then there's probably loads of different ways we can look at this and go into the whole story, because it's an interesting one.
Sure. Jack, you can kick it off.
Go ahead, mate.
So Purdy and Fig we make, manufacture and sell online refillable, natural, non-toxic cleaning products for the home. So it's a liquid concentrate, about 20 ml. You pour it into your bottle for life. You add tap water at home, and you've got your multi-surface cleaner spray. So it's kind of a product you use every day, big market, and there's all sorts of obviously other categories that we'll be going into in the future. But kind of at the moment, that's our main product line, is our multi-surface cleaner. Purdy and Fig, been trading about 2 years. We kind of kicked off during the pandemic, but we'd actually been kind of working on the products for about 3 years before that.
Fucking
So yes, it's been about 5 years of work to date. But I think it's culminated in a really exciting launch of the cleaning products, which was in January, and we've grown from basically nothing in terms of cleaning revenue to about 200,000 a month now within 4.5 months. So yeah, that's been exciting. I think obviously we hadn't put the work in.
So you weren't selling for the 18 months?
No.
Prior to that?
Not cleaning products. No, we had a hand sanitizer which we launched in Feb 2020, which we've got a story about we can go into. But we were selling that. We got hooked on the crack cocaine of hand sanitizer for a year, and then we finally got around to launching the cleaning products. So from a base of zero in terms of that product line's revenue, from 0 to 200,000.
Were the cleaning products always the plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And
the hand sanitizer was
how did two young guys get into cleaning products?
So our mum was making cleaning products in the garage with her friend.
Yeah.
And she was like teaching. They were just natural products, making from like bicarb, vinegar, citric acid, that kind of thing. And she was just teaching her friends how to make it in like workshops, just very casually. And then we noticed like these friends would be driving like an hour on the weekend to come pick up more cleaner. And we were like, why are they doing this? And it turned out like these products, even though they're quite simple, they used essential oils, they smelled really good, and they were non-toxic, so they didn't have a whole bunch of like synthetic fragrance, chemicals, surfactants in them that most cleaning products have. So we're like, that's really cool. Like, there's something really exciting here. Like, people were coming to workshops, and so we kind of chatted about helping out and launching the brand with them, and then basically the hand sanitizer opportunity. It was like February at the beginning of COVID, if you can remember back to then.
And fucking hell, it's gone so quick.
And we were like, we had this hand sanitizer that was really good, came out of the workshops that our mum was running, and we were like, why don't we just make that? It's super easy to make. We're like 6 months off launching the cleaners anyway, so let's like make that and sell it, and we can build a brand a bit, get some revenue, get some customers, and launch the cleaning products to those customers.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's try and get hold of some alcohol. And Charlie like Charlie's always been a hustler. Like he managed to hustle like 1,000 litres of alcohol just from a whole bunch of suppliers, like siphoning off like little bits of Ineos's like 1 million litre orders. Just like getting 1,000 litres here, whatever, 100 litres here, 100 litres there. And we managed to get enough to make our first batch, like 10,000 units, and we sold them within like 5 days. Like we had an order from this like company in Australia. It was like, yeah, we want 10,000 units at like £4 a unit, and we were like, holy shit. Yeah. we're gonna ride this wave, baby. So then we basically bought a lot more alcohol with the money.
Was that purely B2B, or were you doing that online?
No, we launched the site and like had family and friends buy, but we hadn't like built a proper acquisition engine yet.
Yeah.
So it was just a few B2B orders, and yeah, go on.
No, I just remember there was 2 moments. There was one, I was standing in, he had to get everything delivered somewhere. And I was like, I have nowhere to get it. Like, we're having like huge tankers of stuff being delivered, bottles, pallets.
To our home.
And I was like, I have no, so we got them delivered anyway. I'm standing in the like, where the cars are parked. And then we had to buy another 20,000 bottles, and I was like, never bought that many bottles before. And I was called up Jim. I was like, Jim, I don't know whether to buy these 20,000 bottles. Like, it's like half our capital, and like, what we can't sell the product. And he was like, mate, if there's ever going to be a time like it's now. We'd sold those bottles within 3 days.
Yeah.
It was insane.
We had like deliveries at the beginning where we were like making the product overnight in the garage, like all night.
But you're making it yourself?
Yeah, like filling with a Chinese filling machine.
Like proper like
capping,
documentaries.
labelling, yeah. And then we'd make like 1,000 units and we'd deliver it to a pharmacy and we'd be like $5,000. And we once delivered it to this pharmacy and they were all leaking, like when they arrived, because we made them overnight and we were quite tired. Like we hadn't screwed.
Did these smell nice, by the way?
Yeah, they smell really good.
It was a really good product.
Oh, okay.
Like people love the product.
We won an award. We won like best hand sanitizer in the UK.
ITV award.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Like we went on ITV, we went on BBC News, like because we sold 1 million. We ended up selling 1 million units of hand sanitizer in like 8 months.
Fucking hell, fair play.
So this is all the beginning of the story where like we were like capping it and we're delivering it and it was like leaking. And the pharmacy was like, have you guys been up all night like making this? And we were like, yeah. And he was like, right, okay. Still took it because it was that low on.
We were getting 11x ROAS on Google.
Yeah.
Like per pound. And then.
Oh, and Facebook. And then Facebook was more. Facebook was like 75p cost per purchase. Average order value £17.
Yeah.
We were like,
this is insane.
Holy shit. And then basically Facebook blocked hand sanitizer. You couldn't sell it.
Shopify shut us down.
But this product was fucking good, right? So when a product is that good, and it really was at the time when there wasn't a lot of hand sanitizer out there, and this was like a nice smelling spray, and everyone was doing these horrible gels, and we were like,
it was a spray, much better.
And this is before sprays were even a thing.
Yeah.
So we just had this traction from like PR, and like India Knight, which is this massive Sunday Times journalist, wrote an article about us. We did like 75k in one day.
It was the same brand name, by the way, at this point.
Yeah.
Still Podium Fee.
All the same brand name.
Yeah.
So we built this like over some PR stories and then some like, you know, some good marketing, like built the direct consumer operation, built the supply chain, and like that business ended up doing a lot of units. And but we didn't make any money.
No, not really. But we made a lot of mistakes,
wasn't there?
We made a lot of mistakes, with the margin. Yeah, so like what you learn about direct consumer when you first start, it's like your product margin's great, and you're like 75%, we're laughing. And then when you like start actually working with a fulfillment center, you've got pick pack fees. You've got like the cost of managing so many SKUs, because we ended up building 3 cents, and then we had we had refills, we had 20ml, 50ml, 250ml, we had all these different things.
We built a whole business around hand sanitizer, which wasn't the plan at all. The plan was like, let's sell a few bottles, make some cash.
Yeah.
Not
So
build a whole
just
business.
going back to get the timeline in my head.
Go on.
So the 3 years prior to the hand sanitizers, was that you said that was like time you spent before you launched anything?
Yes.
What was that time spent on? Was that you involved, or was it just your mum still? Or
that was Mum and Charlotte, who's her partner, who's Charlotte Fig, who the company's named after.
I'm
still.
I was going to say, I thought it'd be like pets or something.
No, they're 2 people.
2 people.
So Purdy and Charlotte are both absolutely critical to what we're doing now as well.
Right.
They're very much a cool part of what we're doing still. We all work together.
Oh, it's starting to make sense now. Okay.
So Purdy and Charlotte were running these workshops teaching people about natural cleaning for a few years before we got involved. We were sort of say, oh yeah, we like the smell of this, we like that. We'd come to some workshops, learning a bit about the market. But we had other businesses. I was running a classic car auction platform and community, which is now based in LA, which is growing really well, growing really nicely. Jack was in grocery delivery back in 2015 before anyone. Way before, like 3 years, 4 years. Well, yeah, about the same time. I think actually 2016.
I called it Pinger, and we were like 15-minute delivery before 15-minute delivery was a thing.
Oh, you founded it?
Yeah.
There's so many mini stories to this story now.
Yeah, raised a lot of money. We both raised money for it and built these tech companies. Yeah.
So we were on the sides of what Mum and Charlotte were doing, and then we, for various reasons, both personally and career-wise, was like, let's join forces and launch Purdy and Fig together.
Yeah.
Right. And that was like October 2019.
Yeah.
Not foreseeing the shit show from Feb 2020 that was gonna.
Yeah. So I quit my job. I quit my job. Charlie had left what he was doing. We were in Purdy and Fig. So at that point, when we couldn't launch the cleaners were a bit difficult to launch.
Yeah. That's
how the hand sanitizer came into it.
So going back, 'cause I try and be chronological to an extent.
Yeah, it's hard.
At least in my head, because I'm OCD. Before all that then, so you had the tech startups, etc. Did you go to uni? Like, what was the story there? Just like going back to like 18 onwards.
Yeah, I went to uni, left school, went to uni, and I had a Indian tent business at uni. So
fucking hell, that's niche.
I would import canvas marquees from Rajasthan that were printed with like these beautiful block.
They were sick.
Block printed designs, and sell them to people with big gardens, and rent them out as well. And did that in the summers and from my desk at uni, and spent most of the end of my terms out in India trying to get stuff made and having friends hand in essays and being like, this is way better than uni. And like, why am I actually at uni again?
Doing philosophy.
Just studying philosophy.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, I finished it. Yeah. Studying philosophy, and then I went to work for a bank for the summer afterwards, and that was not my cup of tea. So I actually then went to live in China for a year.
Fucking hell. This is a colourful story already. I like this.
Which was really an amazing place to live, and amazing country, a really interesting place.
That Mandarin and a show was filmed about Charlie in China by the Chinese National State Television Channel.
That sounds like someone going disappearing.
Yeah, and they filmed a show called A Foreigner Abroad, and it was about Charlie travelling around China as like this 20-year-old who spoke like limited Mandarin. Yeah. And like this show's like got like tens of millions of views on YouTube.
Fucking hell. That's class.
In China.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was funny. And then he worked for an investor in London, kind of making seed investments with him, helping manage his portfolio. He's involved in Purdy and Fig. And then I launched Classic, which is the community and auction platform, with a friend called David, and then Purdy and Fig.
Yeah. And that was like a million member community of classic car enthusiasts.
So why are you not still involved in that? Or what happened?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, Dave, if Dave listens to this podcast, he'll probably laugh, but because I always blame my girlfriend. I blame my girlfriend, who we've now bought a house together, and I always say, "Oh, if only you made me stay." I say, I would have gone to LA, because the business is an American community. So Dave moved to LA, and I basically didn't move to LA, and the business was not gonna function as it needed with a co-founder from London.
He's still on the board and stuff.
Still involved in the company, but I'm not day to day. But the company's gone from strength to strength, so they're amazing. They've sold $5 million worth of classic cars in the last few months, and they're scaling now. So yeah, it's really exciting for them too.
So how about you?
So
very interesting backgrounds.
Dissimilar. I mean, I had like an e-commerce company when I was like 13. So selling tea online, which I imported from China, like one of those classic things you just build from your bedroom, and that actually did quite well. But eventually we got shut down and threatened to be sued by Google when I was like 14. And I was like, that was quite stressful because I was like we had like AdSense. Remember AdSense? Back in the day?
Yeah.
And at school, I was getting all my mates to like click on the ads on AdSense, and I was making quite a lot of money from it. It was like classic, like low level fraud.
Yeah.
And Google like sent me this email being like, you owe us like 700 quid and we're suing you. And I was like, shit. So shut that one down. And then I had a second business at uni, which was a business called Carvertise. So we paid students to have adverts on their car.
I was sick.
Which was cool. Did that at uni for a couple of years, and then left uni and launched. I joined a management consultancy, like Charlie, and just didn't really like bank management consultancy, same kind of thing. Didn't really love it, and met a guy at the firm I was working at and launched Ping with him, which was our 15-minute delivery grocery app, which we kind of raised lots of money for. Launched it at my university, then in London, and like did well, but it was just like pretty early in the space. Wasn't as much, like nowhere near as much money going into it. Quite an expensive model where you have to invest a lot in customer acquisition up front, and basically just didn't have the experience or the cash to like build it in the way it should have been built. Then, and like it's a shame because it's like if I did, then we would have built like an incredible business. But I guess you don't have the experience you don't have.
Yeah, like, could have been the early Get Era gorillas. Or
right. Like, literally
there's so many now. I don't even know.
I was like 19 and 19, 20, and you just don't actually know what you're doing at that age. Really, like you're kind of
very true.
You're kind of trying to work it out, but you don't actually have the experience or the critical thinking. I don't think to like work through the problems in front of you.
Fundamentally, those businesses, whichever way you look at them, need in a lot of capital investment.
Yeah.
And you've also got to go out and raise that money.
Yeah.
So it's also hard for a young person to go and raise 50, 100 million quid, which is
what we needed.
You know, at 19, it's like unless it's a code, it's a tech business and you're a coder, and you're a genius coder, and it's like, okay, fine. But
so I left that business before I kind of saw it was never going to work, and I left. I had this job offer from a firm that, like a venture capital firm that we had been like built a relationship with, and so they offered me this job investing in seed stage companies, and I was like, I don't think this is going to work. I said to my co-founder, I really just don't think it's going to work. I left and joined that firm, but the business went on for like 2 years and struggled for 2 years and never really made it. And then Paddy and Fig.
Fucking hell.
Yo fellas, quick one. First bit of promo for the pod. You may or may not have heard, I released a fucking ecom course a few months ago. Basically spent like 6 months making it because I was in between businesses, as you probably know if you follow my shit. I must say, 12 hours long, it's fucking quality content. I was gonna drop it at like 1,500 quid with some bullshit guru-y webinar and all that rubbish, but as you know, it's not my main thing. I'm working on a new brand right now, very, very fucking much in the trenches, which is why I think it's actually a better course than everything else out there, because it's built on real experience of my brands in the past and my current one. I think it's super, super valuable. If you're interested in ecom, you're already in ecom and you wanted to get into ecom, 0 to 1, starting a brand from scratch, then definitely worth investing in. Link is in the bio of this video, or podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever the fuck you're listening or watching, and enjoy the rest of the pod.
We're brothers though, so we always said we were going to, want to do some businesses together.
Yeah.
And
then we're going to build an empire together, yeah.
Who's older?
I'm older.
What's the age difference?
The age difference is 5 years. I was going to make a joke about being lots old around the waist.
He's 31, I'm 26.
I'm 26 as well. I feel fucking old. Christ, I've got a twin brother, but we're nothing alike. So I can't relate to going into business with my brother.
Yeah,
we're non-identical, but I doubt he even watches this, to be honest. So yeah, no.
We're very lucky, I think.
I always take the piss out of him for being 31.
Yeah,
you're 32 in October, mate.
I'm like, it'll come fast for you, trust me. That period 28 to 31 goes so fast.
I think the same about 22
to 26.
26. Yeah. And like, I think it gets quicker as you get older. My parents used to say that.
But also with COVID.
Yeah, fuck, COVID's such a shame.
2 years.
Like that 2 years of COVID's gone real quick.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, honestly, thinking back 2 years, a lot has changed.
Yeah.
Like so much, it's probably for everyone.
So what do you think's gonna, slightly off topic, but what do you think's gonna happen to, like, you had the COVID boom in in terms of e-commerce and direct to consumer. Do you think, like, obviously retail, percentage of retail to e-commerce like staying pretty flat now? Do you think it's gonna kind of stick it where it's at, keep rising? What do you think the post-COVID like e-com situation is?
Yeah, it's interesting because in 2020 I was running 2 e-com brands, and it was definitely the COVID boom, and all my mates were running e-com brands. Like, I could see it. I had like my biggest ever months, like almost exactly 2 years ago, like May, June 2020, and then Neon Beach went fucking wrong, and that's history. But I think a lot of people that haven't built, like kind of what we were saying off camera, haven't built like legitimately good operations. Like all the drop shippers and TikTok people that, and some of which have been on this podcast, a lot of them on Twitter, who are maybe less experienced, like I was when I was 21, drop shipping with mad numbers, not saving money, not investing in Ethereum, all this shit. I think good brands will continue to grow, because ultimately it's irrelevant whether it's e-commerce or retail. It's ultimately just the brand, and you happen to be e-com focused because that's where your customers are, if that's where they are. If they weren't there, you go somewhere else. So like, I find it funny when people say, like, this dog's being crazy. People will say on Twitter, like, I do e-com, like, and I'm always like, no, I don't even like saying I do e-com. It's like, I call myself like a brand builder now. It's just, I used to say that, like, e-com, because it's kind of like when you're getting started, it's like the buzzword or whatever, everyone wants to be an e-com. Shopify, like, I do Shopify, like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, that's just the platform that you happen to sell your shit on. Like, ultimately, you're building a business, it just happens to be in the e-com space. So if it's a good business, a good product, a good experience, which proper brands are, then I think it's fine.
Do you ever think about the sort of Unilever of the future in the D2C space and what that looks like? Who's going to be the next big, like, disruptive
conglomerate?
And what's their strategy?
Well, I mean, you look at someone like the Hut Group, and their market cap's gone from 8 billion to less than $1 billion in the past year or something. So along with a lot things like that,
along a lot of public, direct consumer companies,
the same story, all that sort of shit. I think the next Unilever. I mean, I think I would like to sell my brand to Unilever in 3 years for 500 million quid when they realise that psychedelics are the next big thing. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if big groups like that will continue to be the big group that buys out all the up and coming trendy brands, or if someone's going to go and build the next big group.
Well, because right now at Purdy and Fig we run our own manufacturing in-house. We're about to bring our fulfillment in-house. So we're basically, our supply chain is UK based, controlled in-house. The stock that we purchase, like, nothing. So what I'm trying to say, that's a very scalable foundation to run 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 brands from, because you actually own the means of production, you actually own the infrastructure that services the brands. You're never paying for someone else to do the stuff that your brand needs to do to like fulfill customers. And so,
and also the bigger that factory gets, the more efficient it becomes, and the better economies of scale you get.
So like I think we're quite keen on, as a strategy for growth, longer term, not just like sales growth, like empire growth. Actually building the infrastructure that you need to scale e-com brands, not just digitally.
The thing we realised when we were doing the hand sound and when we had the margin issues was that your margin actually builds your business. Like like if you've got a high margin, it's when you have low margin months and you trade like 100,000 and you're like, I've got 30k from that. Let's say a low margin month. Like, well, like you can't make money. You actually really can't make money doing that. Really hard to make money doing that, direct to consumer especially. And if you can build those margins and focus on, well, that's what Charlie's whole focus is, but focus on those efficiencies and that supply chain, it's so powerful, because that's all basically net contribution you can use on marketing at the end of the day. Pour that into growth.
I mean, there's an interesting debate about like in-house stuff and like outsourced. Like, for example, I was having like a debate with someone on Twitter the other day. It's always fucking Twitter now. And I've always used third-party warehouses, 3PLs, and that's what I'm doing now, and I can't see that changing, because in my mind, the shit I should focus on is nothing to do with that. I should benefit from the economies of scale of a big fulfillment expert that knows all that shit. Nor do I want to do that shit, because I want to focus on fucking ramping the shit out of the sales.
Yeah,
which is what I'm good at. But yeah, it's interesting. I wonder, like, when, at what point does that make the business more valuable if it's all in-house? Especially like manufacturing, like fucking hell. Like, you talking like tubs of fucking liquid?
Yeah, we do all our own buying of ingredients. We store them, we mix them.
We've got like a 10-foot long automated filling machine, labelling cabinet.
Yeah, semi-automated, like 2 people operated. And we fill we can fill up to 10,000 bottles a day. Fill at the moment like 2,000 to 5,000 a day. And yeah, we do all of that, and then we pack our own boxes for our e-com deliveries as well. So we really have a full end-to-end operation in-house already. We're just adding the courier collection on at the end soon, which is historically we haven't done, because last mile and like customer delivery is so important. Yeah. So having a really sort of smooth operation as regards to customer gets their order within 24 hours of delivery. Amazon built their whole business effectively off that.
Yeah,
in some ways. Well, the whole brand anyway.
And our 3PL was like seriously fast, so we would get like orders delivered like literally 24 hours after people ordered.
You're currently using 3PL?
We are, yeah.
For just the last mile.
It's the last bit we're
Who
putting
using?
Synergy?
Oh, no, Synergy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my mate uses them. I spoke to Gary before.
Nice.
Yeah, Small World. Yeah.
They're good.
I've never used them.
They're really good.
Who's your mate that uses them?
Trying to think if I can't say Fred from Sanucci.
Oh yeah, we know Fred. We did some. That's funny.
You know Fred?
Jewelry.
He's like one of my best mates.
Is he?
Shut up.
We built.
I lived with him for 2.5 years.
You joking?
We built a whole thing for them, tech thing.
For
such a small world.
For Synergy,
You'll probably watch
as
this.
like an interface.
Because he used to use James and James, who I used to use, who I'm, by the way, now switching to as of this week, because I launched with another 3PL that's fucked up massively. They don't know yet. They will know now. They will know by the time this comes out. Wait, you know Fred?
Yeah.
Like, you've met him?
Yeah, well, on Zoom. On Zoom, we had a couple
story.
of chats on Zoom, because we built a tech interface for them between their Shopify store and Synergy.
Yeah,
to help pick the
big
products,
scale.
the bundles. It was like a bundle builder.
Yeah, which is now an app that we have, a Shopify app.
Yeah, I think they replaced it. Actually, I don't think in the end it worked that well for them, from what Shashi told me, because they replaced it.
That's so mad that you've met.
I remember they smashed it. They absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
As far as a year ago now.
I'm not going to comment on the numbers on here, but they are big.
Yeah. We saw them there.
He's yet to come on the podcast. He's been a highly requested guest. We spent 2.5 years living together in the trenches. Then he got really rich and my business went bankrupt. Kind of deep.
He had like a cool...
He's an investor in my thing now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Nice.
So is Ollie, actually.
So is Ollie?
Ollie and Joe. Yeah, so I got a load of my mates to invest in my thing.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Such a small world, this
very small
D2C
world.
community.
It is, isn't it? I mean...
Like, everyone in this fucking community watches this pod. I swear.
That's so
and they're all going to
funny.
be on it.
Yeah. Yeah, the bundle app was quite funny, because it was like we were having this issue of, you're not selling any bundles yet, but like it's quite difficult for the fulfillment center to read the orders from Shopify.
Yeah.
When you've got like lots of different SKUs put together, picked on tap. So we built this app that like made it really simple for the fulfillment center to read, which they used, and a few other people used as well.
So why, just briefly on that then, why would you move from Synergy to doing it in-house? Like, is it purely a margin thing?
Money, yeah.
So
'Cause, 3PLs are...
Well, we can dive into it. I mean, basically our business is low AOV, high LTV, and so our orders our fulfillment fees are quite a high percentage of our order. So like most good companies will have 6 or 7% fulfillment fees, right? Fulfillment and delivery.
At least. Maybe I'm getting ripped up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a good target to get to is like 6 or 7%. Ours is like 22% or something, because we're low AOV and we're subscription.
Oh, okay.
And so
I was going to say, if you're 6%, that's mad.
Yeah, no, we're 22% right now.
Yeah.
So we can shave £1 off per order, which is 10% margin.
Yeah.
Like gross margin, or is it 10%?
Yeah,
Yeah, 10% gross margin. Like that's big for us.
Yeah.
So the whole factory came about because we couldn't like physically make the products any other way, because every cleaning manufacturer we spoke to were like, we will not use these ingredients. These are cosmetic ingredients. They do not work in our machines. We refuse to do it. And we were like, right, how are we going to do that? Let's buy a filling line. And so that's kind of how it came about.
Yeah, sick.
I mean, that was literally it, isn't it?
It's come about very organically.
Yeah, it was just like, we need to buy a filling line. All right, can we find 20 grand?
Well,
yeah.
actually, even taking a step back further than that, it was in the hand sanitizer days, we were told about 3 days before we were going in the Sunday Times. We were like, you're going in India night. She makes a specific point, please don't be out of stock, because her readers get pissed off if they try and buy the product. And you're like,
It's a nice problem.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, it's cool. Like, we've got a couple thousand bottles. Like, it's not, how big is it going to be? It's Sunday Times. It was like, article came out online at 12 o'clock at night. I think by like 12:15 we'd sold out.
It was ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it.
We were like,
honestly.
okay, so we haven't got enough product. Obviously can't turn off Shopify store. Anyway, so we had a delivery of finished product from a filler in Liverpool coming in, because it's cheap to get stuff filled up in Liverpool. And they were like, oh, sorry, mate, Dettol have come in, or some big clients come in. And we were like, it's going to be a couple of weeks. I was like, I haven't got a couple of weeks. I already owe like 20,000 bottles right now.
Oh, so you let people pre-order effectively?
Yeah,
We're
just like, we're going to be 5
We'll
days
take
late.
the orders, we'll get it fucking done.
Yeah.
So what do we end up doing?
I
4
said,
days in the
I said,
garage,
ship
didn't
me.
we?
I said,
Days
ship
and
me
nights.
all the liquid. I just said, ship me all the liquid. I bought a £100 filling machine off Amazon, and I called like 4 people and was like, I need you.
And then me, Charlie, these 4 people spent like literally 4 days in a garage. I'd say 17 hours a day, just filling
churning
bottles,
it out, and then
filling bottles every second of every day.
I found a video the other day.
It was
That's some future
that.
documentary shit.
Yeah,
That's
it was
great.
nuts. It was
and
nuts.
then Jack, not this Jack, another Jack, who's one of the guys that was for that experience.
One of those 4 guys. Yeah.
He's now our production manager in the factory. He was like,
That was his job interview.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Those 4 days.
How long can you stay?
Well,
Like, how late can you
we were
stay?
sitting around doing it, and we were like, this actually, like, we can so do this, guys, and it's quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Therapeutic.
So then we bought a filling line. Well, anyway, then we tried to get the clean products made in certain ways that wouldn't do it. So we were like, well, let's just do it ourselves. So then we built the packing team, because we realised the 3PL, we got lower fees if we put everything in the box first, rather than them putting everything in the box, because you're paying for that time. So we have a team.
A starter
Yeah.
kit comes with like 3 refills, a bottle for life, a cloth thing in a box. Like, you
Yeah.
gotta,
So then once you get that operation pumping, you realise the extra money you're paying to literally put a label on a box is silly money to be spending. You could easily do that yourself. So that's what we're now finding, but it's very, very important. So all the processes around it and all the kind of courier collections and the accounts, they have to all be in order. So it's like completely an operational piece of execution. So it's like we're kind of ready now where we can scale and do the same at the same time. So that's the kind of the final piece of the jigsaw that's coming in.
Yeah.
And then we'll basically own our own supply chain, which is
which is
which
awesome.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Do you think coming from it's quite like it's obviously a pretty stark contrast from having like selling your soul to like the corporate world potentially, which a lot of people. I nearly did that. I did work experience in M&A, wearing a suit in Mayfair when I was 19, and I was like, fuck that, never again. But then you obviously went into like somewhere in between, which was like a different sort of startup where you raise a load of money but don't necessarily make any money ever until you get acquired, or you die. And now obviously you're building a fucking solid ecom business. Like, why did you decide to commit to this? Like, were there other opportunities like outside ecom, also in ecom, but you decided, fuck it, we're going to go into like cleaning stuff that smells really fucking good aimed at middle-aged women? It's a great story. Was it just like
It's a great question. I was thinking about it.
Well, it all started because me and Charlie sat down at a pub over Christmas and we were having a drink and we were like, I was hating VC. I was like, all these pictures, I was seeing like 20 pictures a day, like coming through my email, and then like seeing through pictures of founders, and I was like I just want to be on that side. I don't want to be on this side. I want to be on that side. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm like 23. Like, get me on that side. And I said this to Charlie, and we were like, okay, we're going to do something. Like, if we join forces with the way we like talk about things, we just think we're going to be able to solve any problem. Like, it'll be sick. So let's just do it. So that decision was made, wasn't it? We were like, we're going to do something. And then, like, our mum, who's like insane, like, she's an incredible person who has always been so ahead of her time on every trend you can imagine. She was like doing it 10 years before. I can't even tell you. And she had these products and we were like, they're so good. We know they're so good. And we knew that a great product was a foundation for everything. So you don't have an opportunity to launch a business where the product, like you can read our reviews, like there's 4,500 5-star reviews.
Yeah, I saw that. It's impressive.
It's like, there's a lot, and people love the product. Like 90% of people stay on subscriptions. Like they love the product, and it's because it's a fucking good product. And we could see that, and we were like, we cared about the thing because it was our mums, and we were like, just makes sense. Unless you have a different perspective.
Right. That's right, I think. And then, why is it set up like it is now? We could set things up very different if we wanted to. I think the people are a big part of it as well. You go with, it's kind of enjoyable. So you kind of build things around people as well. You don't just build things around, we're not like robots where it's like, not everything's a cost benefit analysis or I've got to save 5% here.
It can feel like that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you got to make money at the end of the day, but it's not just about that, is it?
Yeah, like we jump on a call with our mum and her best friend, and we're like, laundry next year, right? What we got, like, where are we at with it? And they'll tell us, and that's great, and they keep working on it.
Yeah, on the good product point, and I've got so many fucking questions now because so many areas. I think the problem with like the whole like e-com community, which is more like drop ships and stuff like I was kind of saying before, which I used to be, is a great way to get started when you're like 19 or whatever. But I think people fundamentally forget that like the product needs to be good, and like I didn't get that right in the past with when I first launched my jewelry brand, for example, which is probably something I never actually spoke about. I launched it, the product ended up being delivered to the 3PO. It's like October 2018. And it wasn't what I thought it was. It was like way shit quality, and I had to fucking cancel everything and start again like 5 months later, which was much better quality. But like, and then I guess with the fucking neon sign thing, the product was good, but then the customer service was shit because shit was taking 6 weeks, and then eventually fucking 7,000 orders disappeared at £300 a piece. So that was a problem.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's what happened, right?
Yeah. So like obviously product is the first thing, but service as well. And I think
service as well.
That's
I'll never forget watching. I never know how to say his name, but Moz Ali.
Moz Ali, Native,
and in an interview where he said he launched Native, and the repeat rate was 30%, and he had his AOV, he had a CPA, like all that was set, but the repeat rate was 30%. He was like, it's good, like that's a decent repeat rate on pay as you go. Like not bad over like, let's say, I don't know what the time frame was, to be fair, but then he went in and did another round of product development, and he spoke to the customers, learned about the product and solved the problems, and then this V2 product had a 50% repeat rate, and he said the economics of the business completely transformed from a 30 to 50% lift. You suddenly had so much more capital to put into growth. Your CPA targets can change. That opens up whole new channels for you. Like if you want to do direct mail or different advertising channels because your CPA targets increased, then that builds a whole marketing funnel. And it can be that simple. It's like small margins are going to make that difference. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, I've got my product, the repeat rate is the repeat rate, and there's not much I can do about it. But we found with the cleaners, and the hand sanitizer both, that if you talk to the customers, find the problems and solve them, it does like massively move the dial on that repeat rate. And it's definitely worth doing. I don't think enough
is it fundamentally a subscription business?
Half our
that's how I've set this thing up. And
I know. So how many people are buying? I saw that, and what's the subscription take up rate?
So since launch, it's been 15%.
15%.
Yes. Which, I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, obviously, I was surprised that anyone was subscribing because you can buy it one time and then it's 20% cheaper on a subscription. I'm already changing a lot with the subscription offer because I want to test like quarterly billings, people pay up front, obviously, all that sort of shit. There's loads you could do with it, but ultimately, if someone subscribes at 40 quid a month, roughly, which is what it is for a year.
Do you want
your fucking LTV is like 500 quid?
You want subscribers, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. I want that to be like Huel or Athletic Greens.
Are those subscribers coming on first order, or are they coming having tried the product?
Well, we only launched 5 weeks ago, so first order.
First order.
Yeah. Well, it's only this week we've started to have rebills. on subscription. So the ROAS blended has already gone up this week noticeably.
Yeah,
Granted,
so
it's 5
good.
weeks in. We're only spending like $1,000 a day on ads because I'm limited on fucking stock.
Mate, that'll be so nice, and that builds. That's going to be so nice.
Yeah,
like
so-
when you have that repeat.
But that's the thing. Like, I'm already
monthly.
noticing like the product reviews have been like relievingly good because there's always a bit of like I think the product's good, but the market will fucking tell me.
Yeah.
There's been probably 5% of people who've been like, the most common complaint actually has been, I don't think it works. Like, it's not making me fucking, I don't know, maybe, because part of the problem with branding it in that way is that there's an element of people probably over expect that they think they're going to have a fucking trip almost. But it's like, it's a legal product that's regulated. There's only so much you can feel. But I mean, it's
we
it's
get
generally
reviews
good.
now being like, my home's not transformed to a spa, because that's our like headline on all our landing pages. We're like,
You just get
transforming
some
into a spa.
sarcastic cunt that wants a refund even though they love the product.
And you're like, yeah, your home doesn't smell like it. Like your home's not transformed to a spa. Like there's a bit of kind
There's
of
not a
obviously imagination
receptionist
there.
now in your fucking apartment.
Yeah, you're not gonna get a massage, mate, next tomorrow.
Yeah, it's very true. But it's so true because that's like the metric I'm looking at most is and will be going forward is are people buying it again?
Yeah.
Because then it becomes, especially with one SKU for now, it's almost like a SaaS business, but better because.
I just think
They're
that
actually
my
paying.
view on product is that the best products make you, it sounds really obvious, it's not actually very profound, but it's really true, is that good products make you want to use them. They make you want to do the thing. If you've got a great pair of shoes, you want to put those shoes on.
Yeah,
you want to
so
walk, you
true.
want to go running, you want to walk around them. If you you see our product from, well, this is what customers say, it's what I feel when I use our products, is I want to actually wipe the surface, I want to actually clean. I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. It's like the iPod made you, and this was the book I'm looking at the moment, which is from the guy who created the iPod with Steve Jobs, and he was like, it made you want to listen to music. It was like that simple. And I just think there's something, it's really, really simple, but true, and it applies to any product, whether it's a piece of art, whether it's if it makes you enjoyable to do that thing, you're going to use it, you're going to like it, you're going to want to buy it again. And that's like at the heart of it ultimately. So there's no anyone can work on that. You don't have to be like you don't need to go to uni. You don't need to have anyone can work on that.
Well, so many products are commoditized, and like that's what we saw in cleaning. Like so many, it goes down to like cost cutting and just getting the job done of the product, and it completely loses any of the magic of like why do you actually. Everything you live your whole life trying to look for basically like nice experience and comfort, and then you've got this horrible like Dettol cleaner that makes your home smell horrible, and you're like you hate using it. It's like for an extra £1 that experience could be so different, and there are so many industries where that applies. I think like so many consumer products where that applies. It's just like supermarkets have completely changed the mindset of the product. And actually for our category, it was the ad agencies in the 50s and 60s that made housewives feel like they had to make their homes like sparkling with anti-bac bleach-based products. So after the war, they had this like massive industrial revolution led to a lot of chemicals and petrochemicals being used in cleaning, and like it's as simple as that. And that's what drove the innovation in cleaning and like the development of cleaning. And then you're like, hang on, why is everyone using products that are horrible? And I know we're going back to our product here, but it's all kind of part of the thinking, right?
I want to change topic briefly then, because there's so many different things I want to discuss. I want to come on to the whole fundraising thing. I mean, I don't know how much you want to or can talk about that, but we're going to dive into that because I have gone down that route with my new brand. I literally noticed, just because on your LinkedIn, the fucking Crunchbase link, that you'd raise some money. When, why, and how did you do that?
How did you get on Crunchbase?
It was on Crunchbase. It was on the LinkedIn page because I was looking at your company and employees and shit.
Because we're massive.
I'm on Crunchbase. You can put it on yourself.
Yeah.
Can
You can put on 100 million. I think they might have to verify that, but
No, I don't think. Yeah. Jack, when you talk about fundraising,
because you've obviously got
Yeah, well, we both
previously,
we
anyway.
both got experience. I mean, well, I guess, we've raised a fair amount of money actually. Probably
what in our lives?
Well, no, in this business,
Yeah.
probably couple million quid.
Yeah.
Probably
About
couple
that.
million quid.
About that.
Which is cool. Investors are funny. I mean, we've had some bad experiences, and like the wrong investor is a complete shit show. a complete and utter shit show, because if they don't understand what you're doing and they don't understand like the fundamentals of how you're going to build your brand and how it costs money sometimes to do it at the beginning, then you can have like someone down your neck who's got actual control in your business, and when it comes down to it, can influence other investors. They can influence decisions through like voting and stuff.
They can undermine your confidence.
Massively undermine your confidence. So we were on a roll after Hansan, and we wanted to push on and keep growing. And we had an investor who really knocked our confidence. So I won't name, obviously. And like essentially,
were they on prior to Hansan?
They came in during the height when we needed cash in Hansan. We brought in some cash because we were like, it was like ridiculous, and we were like, we need like $500,000 quid, and we brought in $500,000 quid, and he was the main guy, and that was behind that, and we met him pretty cold. We didn't really know him, and it wasn't a good fit. And at a time when we should have pushed on, and if we'd done so, things would have been probably a lot further ahead than where we are now. We pulled back, and we started like reducing spend. Even though the fundamentals were good, we reduced spend, we reduced overhead, we cut back, we changed our ambitions. And
why? When you just had cash injection?
Well, we had a slight margin issue, which left us with slightly less cash than we thought we were going to have.
Yeah.
But it was more that the growth plan that we had kind of had people on board with, thought we were going to be executing, required more cash, and we weren't then going to get that cash.
In terms of getting that investor on though, were you selling then a vision on hand sanitizer?
No cleaners.
It was still around the cleaning stuff.
Yeah, but we hadn't even developed them yet. It was still Hansan.
Yeah.
But they also did invest in a business that was Hansan. This was early on in COVID, where we didn't know how long this thing would be going on for as well.
Yeah.
So we've had that experience, and then like the other side of it is we've now got investors who are on our board. We've got a chairman. We just closed a round like to go much bigger, and it's great. Like everyone's aligned. You can invest. Everyone understands like unit economics of what you're doing and the investment required, especially in subscription.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Yeah.
So did you eventually buy the original guy out, or what?
No, not yet.
What we actually did was we managed to get a chain. He would never watched this, so it's fine. But he managed to get.
You'd have to speak about details.
No.
That's fine. Anyway, the point in fundraising, I think generally is it's really important to kind of do your DD on the person, because it's really tempting. And I don't know who will be listening to this, who hasn't raised money before, so I don't know how much interest it is to people, but. You do your DD on an agency if they're going to work for you. Do your DD on a supplier. Like, it's really easy. It's actually way easier to take someone's money than you think into your business.
Yeah.
And like, you don't really think about. And I'll probably do it again. I'll probably make the same mistake that I'm talking about now. I'll do it again because it is really hard when when you want money, and then to be like, oh, you sort of feel a bit precious. You're like, oh, but I'm not sure I really like you, or I'm not really sure like you get it. Like, you're like, fuck off, just take the money if I can get on with it. But at the same time, you're getting married to that person effectively. So
yeah, and they're part of your business, like an actual part.
So all your investors to this point, are they all angels? We got funds involved, PE funds.
We got an angel. We got all angels and one fund that's closing shortly.
Yeah,
finishing DD, which should be fine.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so we're just closing a round, which is a big part of the 2 million I mentioned, which is all going to be coming in.
Right, and on the subscription side then, because that's the plan I've had for my business, and it will probably be another conversation I have in a few months' time with my current investors, and we're already kind of talking about it, because obviously the beauty of subscription is that the LTV is potentially massive.
Yeah,
but if your CAC's higher than your 1 month payment, then you have a problem in the short term, basically.
Correct.
So how has that been for your business, and how is it now, and like in terms of just the basic economics of your situation?
Yeah, I'm happy to say. I mean, it's really thing we spent a lot of time on. So, well, if you've got to really look at it with a cold a cold heart in terms of the numbers, because it's easy to trick yourself when it comes to unit economics that it's better than it is.
Yeah.
So once you actually take out VAT and margin and all the costs associated with delivering that product, it can look very different to when you kind of kid yourself, right?
Like any econ brand making 10% net, like actual net, is doing well.
So looking at net contribution on an order is like really important, and actually work out what the net contribution is from a customer after their first order, and then after 2 months, 3 months, and etc. So then the second thing you need to do is you need to actually measure how that plays out, and get hard data on what your contribution over 3 and then 6 months really is.
Yeah.
And then you can form your CAC ceiling or your CAC target based on that. And I think that's really, those steps are really important to go through. And the general rule, and what we've got an advisor who's built £100 million worth of subscription businesses, Naked Wines, and what else has he done? Love Film.
Oh, yeah.
Charles Tyrrell, not a subscription, but he like really built a lot of great businesses. Grays, and he's like 6 months. You want to be like, that's the absolute limit for payback, net contribution payback, and 3 is great for a subscription. And then if you can get to a year with half of your original subscribers, that half will basically stay with you for 3 years. Like you can predict they will stay with you for 3 years broadly. I mean, it might be different for different businesses.
The churn
curve will get really flat. And so at 3 months, if you're breaking even, great. At 6, it's okay. It's going to be harder. And then you're going to have, if you can keep your subscribers, and then your churn curve flattens out, you're going to have a really good business. And then you need to be targeting 3 to 5x contribution margin on your CAC over that 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's like broadly the guidelines he set out for us, which was really helpful for us in doing a lot of our early unit economics work that we're proving out. And then from a cash situation, it's really, really hard, because if you're low AOV, especially like we are, you do need to have, well, theoretically, you need to have a fair amount of cash. Because if our CPA, I don't mind sharing it, is blended is £15.
Yeah, it's cheap.
But the AOV is £15, or like it's actually £19. So
that is low. Yeah, that is low, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it's good AOV, and we can dive into why it is good CPA. It's dive into why, but you're still losing quite a lot of money. Like if you take into account VAT and fulfillment and delivery and
everything,
cost of goods and everything, and creative production, it's you lose a fair amount of money. However, we know we break even on the second hit of the subscription. So that's after 3 months. So what we're now trying to plan for is, from a cash perspective, if you can finance the inventory and the marketing on a 90-day term, you can get your second hit on the subscription before you pay for the customer.
Yeah.
And before any costs associated with the customer. So your cash conversion is completely flipped, and you're essentially breaking even on the customer for our model, which is great.
90 days.
Which is 90 days.
So is it quarterly billing model?
Quarterly billing.
Right.
You're breaking even the customer, and you've got the cash from the customer before you pay for the marketing spend. The way we're doing that is payment terms of Facebook, 30 days, and then a 60-day rolling credit on the spend, which we're doing through some like Clearbank type stuff, and there's other ways.
Credit cards. You can literally,
Amex.
as simple as using credit cards.
Like Amex is 54 days.
Yeah.
Like unlimited spend.
Max out my Amex for years.
The business one gives
the gold one is like, it's great. So
it's great.
So a bit of a ramble, but basically take those steps and then set some guidelines and be confident in your CPA target. Once you've got the data, be confident in it, and then drive for growth towards that target. Like, this is my ceiling. I will spend the money if I can, because that customer is going to make money in this much time, and then they're with me for 3 years. And
what you might need up front, a little bit of cash before, because you've got to build your revenues to a size which the Clearbanks and Wayflyers and Parkers of this world.
I spoke to Pipes the other day.
Yeah, we're talking to Pipe.
I had a call with them yesterday actually, and they said Mudwater, one of their new clients.
No way.
They shouldn't have told me that, but
no, they shouldn't.
Just weasel it out of them.
But like, then they become meaningful. So you might need a bit of cash up front, but I think
you need cash to prove out the economics.
You need 6 months of numbers, basically.
Well, you need to sit the numbers.
Even have the conversation. Yeah.
So also you'll have with your suppliers, you'll probably have potentially no relationships with them, so you've got to build time to build them up and all that.
Yeah.
So you need a bit of cash. But I think our learning is like, you don't need to fund e-com D2C companies even at scale with diluted funding. You don't actually need to do it.
No.
And
you really don't.
We haven't even fully worked through all the debt options. But
because of shit like Wayflyer, Pipe, Clearbank.
Yeah, massive part of it.
Well, and just working on supplier terms and working on that side of things, which is the boring, like not as
it's not sexy, right?
It's not sexy, but if it means you can grow at the scale you want, get the stock in, not go out of stock, and not dilute your equity stake, great.
I was having this exact same conversation with my supplier today because I want to put an order for 15,000 units in. I'm already 5 weeks in, but that's like half the bank account. So I just said to him, look, exactly. I'm going to be your biggest fucking client in 12 months. You know it.
Nice.
So,
hustle.
And they were wanting 80% up front first. Now we're down at 50%.
That's good.
Now I'm trying to get the unit price down. And they haven't fucking replied to me.
That's good. Nice.
But I've done this shit before, so you have to pull every string where you can.
I think
it's about getting people on the side.
Like the thing is, you've done these businesses before, and when you do them, you learn all these things.
Yeah.
I always think it's really unbelievable how much like learning is built on each other, and like 100%. Every single thing you do is like, okay, those are 3 lessons, and especially from Pinger, I've got like we refer to our previous businesses all the time, like just like, oh yeah, remember that, okay, don't do that again.
So based on what you just said about not needing equity funding, why did you go down the equity funding route? Because my argument to that, because people have said it to me as well, and my argument was it wasn't actually about the money. I didn't really need the money to get started, at least, maybe to scale, like in 6 months, whatever. But for me, it was because of the shit that had happened in the previous business, I wanted to have people with experience on side. And it was also part of the whole strategic narrative, which is a term I've now coined from Alex Packham, like setting the business up to get acquired by the right fund in 3 to 5 years. And I thought having the right investors who've got certain track records, like ones I just mentioned, is like kind of social proof in a way. It's social proof, not to customers, but to an acquirer or another investor.
I think we've only just become smart to these new methods at the scale that we're at now.
Yeah.
So we'd already embarked on the equity route because it's like also cash up front, and it requires less work on your actual business model and finances, which is not like our strongest suit. But Jack's actually worked out most of it. So I think we're also discovering it. I've thought equity was the way forward, but actually it's not for this kind of business. Tech business, different question.
Yeah.
Well, cash. There's 2 other points though. Cash. It all comes down to what you're using cash for. So if we're going to build our sales through essentially advanced cash flow, so a good cash conversion cycle, the cash we've got in the bank can be used on whatever we want it to be used on. And if you're building a brand that you want to get, if you're building a real brand that you want to be acquired, or you want to like become a national brand, you're going to have to invest in things that take a long time to pay you back. You can't always do everything direct response, put £1 in, get £2 back. And it opens up opportunities to do that. It also opens up opportunities like your team that you're building. So it's we've always been pretty lean, but the team you're building means much more than just like the efficiency of what you're doing right now. So you could like get more efficiency, maybe hiring an agency to all your creative right now. However, building a team that can develop and iterate on creative in-house, which is not as efficient now and will cost you cash up right now, could pay off in a year's or 2 years' time by having this incredibly well-trained team of people who understand your brand and understand all the learnings of all the creative you've ever produced, like scaling with you. So you have to think short-term and long-term about all these decisions, and the cash equity gives you the ability to make those kind of decisions, which I think if you're building a real business, not like a drop shipping thing that we discussed,
completely agree.
That is really helpful, really powerful.
Yeah, so you just don't need equity funding for scaling marketing and inventory purchasing, basically. No. But you will need cash.
for other
Yeah,
functions.
I guess
So
it
you
comes
don't
down
use
to the difference between like OPEX and CAPEX, which is something only a term I learned like a month ago. And just like stuff that's going to pay off long term.
I guess the better way to put it then maybe is you don't need as much as you think. You might need some equity funding, but you don't need as much.
Yeah,
'Cause you can
but the other thing is you need a bit to prove out your model and then get the financing. So it's chicken and egg problem, like classic chicken and egg problem, right?
Yeah,
Like that 6 months of data, you've got to have some cash to start. I mean, I've never the fully bootstrap model is brutal. I mean, it's slow. It's really slow, and do you want to do things a bit faster? I guess.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So how does the business look day to day then now? So I guess two sides. I think firstly, like customer acquisition, which you mentioned during our drink top up break. How does that look? Because that's probably the part of ecom D2C that is spoken about most, certainly on like YouTube and shit. Obviously, we've covered some of the more in-depth stuff as well.
Sure.
You said you're running all the ads, and you said you're using Triple Well.
I have been.
Who are now a fucking sponsor, by the way.
Hey,
go check Triple Well.
Big up Triple Well. Yeah. I check my Triple Well more than Shopify now.
We love Triple Well.
So customer acquisition, like there's three parts for me. Well, first is a formula, right? So it's like your cost per click and your conversion rate, and it's like really it's that simple. I'm working on those two things for me. It's like really simple. Stepping back a sec is like how do I best influence those things, those two things, and it comes down to channel number one, like your channel you're using and how well it aligns to your customer. The second is the offer. For me, I think the offer is the biggest lever most people don't pull. And if I was advising anyone who's not struggling with their customer acquisition but wants to supercharge it, I would tell them to start playing with offers like really hard, and playing with offers that are custom built into landing pages, direct to checkout. And then the third is creative. And I put them in that order because I do think they're in order of importance. And you just got to constantly... the problems in front of you compared to other industries, I do not think are that big. Like if I compare the work in those three areas compared to like other things I've worked on in the past, the problems are not that difficult to solve. It takes just understanding what you're doing and massively iterating, having an iterative approach, and creating like a foundation that you can move the dial on these three areas. And that's been the secret to lowering CPA for us from 60 to 15.
60 to 15, wow.
Yeah, from 60 to 15. And that is over only 5 months. And like I think we can keep going down. I think we can get it down to 7 or 10 and then 7, 6, 5. I mean, and that really does transform the business.
Maybe say something about how people how Facebook's changed and people need to adapt.
Just bring that mic in a little bit.
Yeah, Facebook. I mean, if you're in media buying, Facebook's changed a lot, as we all know.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the agencies are using old tactics still and trying to hack the system, and it's really you've got to keep things really simple and focus on creative and broad audiences.
Yeah.
As like I'm sure everyone. That's quite a common thing that people are saying, and like it's genuinely true. We found way more success with broad. Like when we used to have agencies doing our ad buying, I would always compete against them in either in the same ad account or a different ad account.
I used to do that as well.
And like, yeah, it's like really satisfying, and because
So
I can jump on a call with them in a week and every week, and they can like feed me all this bullshit, and I can be like, I'm spending 3 hours a week in here, and this is my CPA, and look at yours, and like you're fired.
Yeah.
And it's like that is quite powerful, I think, with agencies who do bullshit a lot. But all these agencies, how can you be an agency trying to run people's customer acquisition and not do creative? I literally cannot understand that model anymore. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You're not adding any value. You've got to, if you want to control the result, you have to control the creative and probably control the landing pages and the offers and all those things.
Interesting to be fair, because I've worked with so many agencies over the years as well. I've spoken shit about a lot of them indirectly on here as well. the one I'm working with now I think is good. But yeah, like I'm still obviously doing all the creative, and like the creative, 5 weeks in, but like I never tested as much creative and produced as much creative with any other shit I'd done before than this.
Yeah.
And like the amount of creative getting tested, even at tiny scale now compared to where I want to be, it's just mad because like, and yeah, the creative is the biggest fucking variable.
Yep.
Oh.
Creative is big for sure, and we're running 3. I'm generally not exaggerating here. We're running 300 to 500 creatives through our Facebook account a month.
Yeah.
And
That's what I think you need.
That is genuinely the truth, and that's from the first agency I found that, as I said, that has beaten me, genuinely beaten me on the ad account, and it took them 3 months, and like we were patient, and like they've done it, and they're absolutely killing it.
And are they you say like agencies should control the creative?
Yeah.
Are they literally making the creative?
So we double team it. So they have a system. Have you heard of Kinship?
Yes.
So it's Taylor
kind
and
of.
Cody. Cody is the guy I tagged in that post that I said
Definitely heard of
should
it.
come on here.
Oh yeah.
So they're like doing well. American agency. They've got this incredible model where we pay for them to seed 500 influencers every month.
Yeah.
Those influencers, like 200 normally post. We get 100 pieces of creative, but each 100 posts, but each post is 3 stories normally. So 300 pieces of creative, and they iterate 2 or 3 versions of each creative, like different beginnings and different hooks and that kind of thing. So we end up having like broadly, I think that's 500 to 600 creatives a month. And they've got a system through cost caps where they push all the creative into the ad account onto cost caps, and they let Facebook find the best performing creative. Yeah. And it's actually worked. It's actually worked, and it's like incredible. And the CPA keeps dropping.
Is that literally the only creative you're running then? Like you
no. So then our team, we've got a team internally that produces probably 30 to 40 like unique assets, like unique videos that are actually different, with different hypotheses and stuff every month, which goes into the pile, and we try and compete against the influencer content.
Yeah.
And my view is always, I want to find our own creatives that are properly on brand, and if they can scale, which a lot of them do, then we're acquiring the customer and we're serving an on brand ad. But if we can find these like weird bits of creative like that influencers create that are short and snappy, that acquire customers for a good cost, great. Like that's all going to help.
And some of the weirdest bits of content win. It's hilarious.
Like the weirdest you can imagine.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Like really sus like TikTok videos that just don't make sense.
We've got one which is an image of a fridge that's empty. That's like with a headline that's like,
so it's not even got the product in it.
No. And it's doing like £14 CPAs. I'm like, we're spending hours on creative every month. And
yeah, it's always like that. The most simple shit fucking wins sometimes.
Weird. It's just,
so do you not outsource any, in terms of like freelancers, other agencies you're working with, are you pretty largely in-house with everything?
Yeah, we've got a creative team. We've got one of my best mates from uni is an architect. We've converted him into like an e-com designer, and he's built a new website which is launching. He runs our creative studio. We've got like one other person that does brand stuff like social media and that kind of thing, and also PR and a few other things. And then
we're basically control freaks. Basically, we have to do everything ourselves.
And then Ops Charlie runs like a very in-house team.
Yeah,
as you know, as we've spoken about.
And your mum is full-time as well in the business?
They're not full-time, but a lot. They work a lot.
So how big's the internal team then?
I think 11.
Yeah, that's a lot of people to be fair.
But we think we built that team, like that is going to run for, we're going to triple on that team.
Well,
so we kind of set the foundation.
Well, that's 11, but that's including like 4 people in the factory.
Yeah.
Where most people would have overhead in their gross margin. Like they would have a manufacturing cost per unit bill of X, and we don't.
Yeah, to be fair, it's interesting because like people ask me like how many people are in your team now. I'm like, I feel like it's just me, but it's not just me, because the supplier I work with is effectively an in-house R&D team, like product dev. And you could almost, the amount I pay them is probably like equivalent of 2 full-time people on top of the actual product margin. I'm just paying them, and that's their margin instead of mine. Obviously, like an agency, I could probably hire 2 people for the cost of them. Certainly 1 good person. I've got nearly a full-time creative person. He's technically freelance, but we've worked together for years. So he's basically full-time. There's a customer service person who's working for free right now, he's actually found me from the podcast. He's a podcast fan.
Serious.
So
Why
Florian, if you're watching
free?
this shit, he was like, please let me work for you for free.
Shut up.
I was like, well, let's do it for a month, I'll pay after that. But he was like, I want to learn and shit. I was like, fuck yeah, I respect it.
What a great attitude.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
So,
great.
and yeah, you will learn.
Have you got
that.
any outs? We got 3 people in the Philippines as well.
So I used to have 40 in the Philippines.
Wow.
I will do soon. Actually, maybe I won't do soon. I'm not opposed to the Philippines. I think it's a great place to get like process-driven people. Customer
We
service.
found a great
primarily.
customer service person, like who's really good. Really good.
Yeah, I've had some really good ones. But like, I guess my point is, like I say, it's just me. But actually, if I took all the costs away from everything that I'm outsourcing, I could probably have like 5 or 6 people in a room full time. Even at this stage.
Do you outsource media buying and creative at all?
So creative, I've spent like the past month nailing what I think is a creative system, and
Nice.
I think it's pretty solid, to be fair. So I never got this right in the past. I always slept on it. So the way it works, essentially, I have a bunch of different like raw assets that are, like go into the system. I have my guy Brad, who's a fucking wizard. He did that 80s video. He edited that
really
over
good.
like 2 weeks, and he loved every second
Love
of it.
that video.
So yeah, he's a fucking G. He then repurposes shit specifically for ads, like adding text, whatever, like chopping it up, all that shit. And then it goes to the media buyers, the agency, who then obviously test a load of shit and pretty much feedback on a daily basis what's working, what's not. And then I basically cycle it back in. But I suppose like
That's good.
the workload,
Perfect.
the heavy workload bit, particularly in the start, has been like I'm literally coordinating with like UGC creators because I had so many agencies trying to pitch me on £400 a video, and plenty of them are watching. That's way too fucking expensive.
Yeah.
I can go to a creator and pay 60 quid, which by the way, I still think is relatively expensive for a video that takes 10 minutes to make, because I've done them myself and they take 10 minutes. But it is what it is. So I've got a bunch of UGC.
Much better model, yeah.
I've got a bunch of studio people. So like I've got a guy that does like proper beautiful macro photography, that sort of shit, which actually doesn't always perform as well as UGC, but it still looks good for like the website. And then I have like other stuff that's kind of on top of that, like stuff we just test.
Can I just tell what's worked really well, is starting to work really well for us? With creative, you just want like lots of different influx of sources, like coming from different places. We've now got 3 influencers who are like on the books, very low retainer, like 300 quid a month or something, and they're just pumping out like off their own accord so much creative for us that runs through ads and organic. And it's really nice because like without having to think too much, you've just got this influx, there's things you can test. You've got your process that you're running, which sounds really good. I love the sound of that. Like more scripted stuff and like thought about like where you're actually doing a creative strategy job.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
that's great.
I haven't given any briefs to any UGC people yet. It's only today I wrote a brief up based on the first month of data.
Was it scripted?
Not scripted, it was just try and do this. Because for example, one weird thing I noticed, this is kind of niche, but every UGC person, and I mean every single one, was calling the product Space Goods, not Rainbow Dust. Like little things like that.
Yeah.
The brand name and product name are not the same thing. So like, it doesn't really matter that much, but I imagine that will affect like conversion rate, because they go on the landing page and it's like Rainbow Dust, what the fuck is this? So like, little
Are you
things
testing
like,
like different angles and stuff?
yeah, so many different things. So like, and again, I was writing this out today, like us versus coffee, like naughty psychedelic imitation,
Right.
like unlock your best self, blah blah blah, like the whole price angle, like the whole all-in-one angle instead of 15 supplements.
Does it give you
So many things.
a physical lift? Does the product
Yeah,
actually
100%.
give you a physical reaction?
Yeah,
Like what? Like caffeine?
it's
Or
got
like
a bit.
what?
So it's got a bit of caffeine in it, which is one thing I've learned that a lot of people don't like or haven't
They don't
bought
like
it. Well, people that have commented saying I would buy this if it was caffeine free because I like the other ingredients.
Are you going to do a caffeine-free version?
Well, I'm gonna have to now. So I just made it for me.
So without the caffeine, is there something
Without
else?
the caffeine,
Stimulant or
yeah, so there's 3 different mushrooms in it. There's ashwagandha, there's maca root, there's rhodiola rosea and vitamin B5. So it's basically a bunch of nootropics and mushrooms,
and you feel it,
but very, very high dosages compared to most shit. So it's
because
pretty
it
potent.
actually gives you an effect. It's kind of like the Red Bull gives you wings type
Yeah, so the whole angle initially, and it is fundamentally the angle, is it's illegal psychedelic microdose imitation.
Yeah.
So what angles have been what angles ad-wise have been working?
What's been working most is replace coffee.
Really?
To be honest, it's
Really?
it's the most obvious boring one I didn't want to do.
100%.
It's what
see that.
Mudwater do, and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to play on the whole. I guess the broader angle on top of that is unlock your best creative self. Like it's
Well, that's your
the
kind of
whole
like headline brand message.
The headline brand message is
Yeah.
we are for creatives. Like do create better shit. Unlock your best self. That's what it's all about. That's the whole like ethos.
And how did you make the product?
How did I make it?
Yeah. How did you come up with the formula?
Literally just I had taken similar stuff. I bought a load of competitor stuff. I wasn't a scientist, do you know what I mean?
Freestyled it, yeah.
And then I just reverse engineered. I was like, well,
Nice.
that's good. I literally I was a lab rat for like 6 months on myself.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And given it's a version 1 product, I actually think it came out fucking well. And it tastes amazing too.
Yeah.
I'm going to try some.
Yeah, try some.
Yeah, you
I'll
should.
buy some
The
of
only
this.
thing I personally don't like about it, and it's my own product, is it's like 29 calories per serving. And the reason, not that it's like fatty or anything, but I just fast every day until like 2 p.m. So technically it breaks a fast.
Yeah.
And some people are funny about that, particularly people buying a premium supplement product that's
Yeah.
of the mind. They're like, well, if it breaks my fast, I can't take it.
So have you heard that in the feedback as well?
Yeah.
So that's all start. I mean, if you can push that into V2, that feedback.
So I'm already
that's
working
gonna-
on a
that's
V2
gonna
of
be
that.
powerful.
Yeah, and like a fruit version, which is a bit of a different.
And how are you
proposition.
setting up?
idea.
How are you setting up? I think a lot of people don't talk to their customers. How are you getting that feedback?
So a lot of it's because my fucking email and,
Yeah.
my Instagram and Twitter are on the packaging. So
Nice.
that's the
Email.
first thing in the bottom left. That's a really bad idea when we start scaling, but for now it's fine. So that's probably the most prominent feedback source.
Yeah.
There's a card that comes with the order that also has my email on it,
Nice.
encouraging people to give feedback.
That's really smart.
So that's actually the main thing. Other than that,
That's really
basic
smart.
shit like Hotjar exit surveys.
Yeah.
I've got a type form set up in Klaviyo, all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
But I think the direct response where someone's gone out their way, and obviously just comments and shit.
Can I say one of the biggest things we did was a big customer feedback exercise where we did qualitative, quantitative like interviews and surveys, and got a whole bunch of feedback on the V1 of the product, and it actually transformed the marketing as well because we got we understood why people were loving the product, and then we're using all the feedback as angles and ads, and then the feedback that came up most is the best performing angle by far, and one we never expected. So just it's a powerful thing to do.
Also, someone told us not to go down that route because they basically said P&G and Unilever spend billions a year on scent.
Yeah,
Don't compete on scent.
yeah,
And guess what? We're competing on scent.
yeah.
Almost-
It's what people care
almost
about,
single
but it's what people like. Yeah,
does it work? Does it smell good? Two main things.
Yeah.
And then simplifying your routine is another massive
well, that's
part
the
of
one
Yeah.
that's worked best, and we never thought it would. Because our product's it's one product that can clean your whole home, with the view that the multinationals have basically released 7 or 8 versions of the same product in order to increase basket value of their customers.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
here's a glass
complicated
cleaner, here's a wood cleaner, here's a stainless steel cleaner, here's a mold service, here's a bathroom, here's a lime scale, here's enamel and taps, here's a window. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah,
But also,
that was why I made that an all-in-one, because I couldn't get my head around it. One of the competitors that you mentioned earlier, I'm not going to say, they offer, and I still don't get it, they offer 4 different powders, and then they also offer all 4 in one. Where's the logic in that? I don't get it. Like, surely just offer the fucking all-in-one.
Yeah, why would you
Otherwise,
offer
why
4
would you sell the
different
other
ones?
4?
For sure. And that's all commercial. It's not actually for the customer.
Yeah. I just don't get it. So I always just build shit for me at least that's what I've tried to do.
There's another obvious thing people say a lot, but I think it's true. Those early customers, you've got them now, they respond to the email being like, please can I survey you? Like, we spend 10 minutes like filling out boring questions. Like,
they
for
do
most
respond.
people, not for us obviously, but for most people, they'll do it. And they'll sit on the phone for half an hour and they'll do it for 50 quid of free product. And you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So they're a massive resource, and we've got Charlotte was in customer research as a career before this, so she has a full process and knows how to actually extract information from people and like actually quantify it, which is amazing. But ultimately, even chatting, even calling, you get numbers on Shopify, even calling people for 10 minutes, like they're like, oh my god, the founder of the company's called me, they'll love it.
I need to start doing that, to be fair. I've done it a few times in the past.
It's a weird thing that we all put off. It consistently is the thing that I think people don't do enough, is talk to their customers. And I don't know. Well, now I've had this experience, I can see why everyone who's done well says it all the time.
Yeah.
And you like hear it, you're like, yeah, okay, and then it kind of goes in one ear, out the other, and you're like, they can't tell me anything.
Do you know what I think partly that is, the reason for that is because, at least my experience in a lot of e-commerce, I think other people would say the same, is particularly when you can start shit like from your bedroom, you forget that these numbers on a screen are real people. Whereas if you were running, I don't know, a fucking cafe or something, you would by default be speaking to your customers
all the time.
Whereas now it's like everything's become so
completely.
Oh, we can be remote, blah blah blah. Everything's online. I don't have to fucking speak to anyone. Then you forget that they are real people.
Well, we've got a weird thing, which is that our customers are so forthcoming with feedback that the reviews tell us very quickly if something's gone wrong. So we noticed like in the last year, like 2 or 3 things have happened, as it happens in every business, and we're like, that's an issue, because I've seen it 5 times in the last 3 days, because we have like 20 people reviewing a day. At the moment,
10% of our customers review
on Trustpilot. Yeah, that's a really powerful
that's
one.
Crazy. I've probably written 2 reviews in my life.
We can't really understand why though. We've never understood.
Do you
why.
even send an email request?
We send the automatic email. Trustpilot does,
but everyone does that.
But 10%, like it's such a high number that we're like, why is that happening? It's not even. We're not doing anything. We're not geniuses.
Maybe our customer demographic. I actually think that's another thing with startups, that the personal story and the kind of, with us, it's like a family business pitch, and it's very personal. People really engage with that, and I didn't appreciate how much they do. I think it's the demographic of the age demographic, and I think people care. I think that group of people care more.
I'd say what we haven't done well yet, and what I want to focus on soon, is like using your social proof as effectively as possible throughout your site. It's actually really difficult to weave it in like a smart way, and we haven't done it well enough yet.
I think even just like, I'm using the fucking shitty Luke's review app. Just pictures of cunts holding that. Well, not cunts, beautiful customers.
Your lovely customers that you love and appreciate.
I think I'm on there as well. I definitely think that is powerful, especially for a new brand. When there's like, people think, is this a scam, whatever, like, and building that trust pile and stuff. It's interesting you say about like the background, like having the whole family story and stuff, because like, obviously I've kind of like built this brand in public for like 6 months, whatever, on like Twitter, and I do not want the brand to be about me, because that's a terrible idea long term.
Why?
Because maybe it's not, but I don't think it's as scalable if it's about me, because anyone that doesn't like the fact that I'm a fucking young white male, basically,
Tesla's pretty scalable.
Then, well,
I mean, their marketing strategy is surely
maybe
is
I'm
Elon
wrong.
Musk Twitter.
Yeah,
I just have this idea that it's not exitable if it's about me, basically.
Nah.
Joe Malone?
Huh?
Joe Malone?
Yeah, well, yeah, literally. It's not called Matthew Kelly, is it? So
No.
I guess we're one step away from that. But I think having that story to an extent, like at least in the start, helps. Because like most big brands have some sort of founder story, even if it's like partially made up.
Well, not even. I think the story is just a means to understand why the brand exists.
It's a narrative.
And we've all read, probably all read *Sapiens*, but like that kind of thing about humans understanding stories intuitively, and I think I've looked at all your stuff you're doing, and there is a clear purpose. There's a clear purpose behind it. That will be the same. That will be the same as a founder story from a garage, a family business from a garage.
Yeah.
Ours ties in because it's like family business, non-toxic products in your home. Don't let your kids breathe in non-toxic color. It all kind of works together.
We did actually start in the garage as well.
And we did start in the garage, but the point is that like it can take many different forms. I think what you're doing well is you're building much more than just a direct response. Like I can acquire a customer for X pounds and get this much back. It's why are people actually engaged in the brand, which is not what not most people don't do, and what's going to build real value.
Yeah, because I just saw, particularly like supplement space, at least in my opinion, there's a lot of like very faceless, cold, like almost like medicinal brands, and I just wanted to have fun with it, which is why like, I did the whole like 80s video and shit, which obviously doesn't convert on fucking ads.
No,
but it's on the website. If people go and have a look, like no
great.
brand that goes to the effort to make that isn't excited about their own brand. Do you know what I mean?
We funded Feel at Fuel.
Huh?
You know Feel? We Are Feel?
Oh yeah.
We funded them.
What do you mean?
We funded them at Fuel when I was at Fuel Ventures.
Oh, you were at Fuel Ventures?
Yeah.
I fucking spoke to them.
Did you?
Yeah, well.
Cool, I can introduce
Off the record.
Yeah.
Alex Packham, who came on the pod, who's one of my investors, they funded one of his rounds, or they were involved in one of his rounds.
Which one?
Like Series A Content Co.
Content Co?
He sold Content Co.
Yeah.
He's been on the pod.
They sold to Adobe.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
a lot of money.
I was there when we brought Content Co in. Yeah.
Oh man, fucking small world.
So
It's such a small world.
who that is.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's like formally sort of mentoring me now, as an investor as well.
That's
But,
cool.
yeah, he helps a lot. Shout out Alex. Go watch the episode. Yeah, fuck.
Yes.
Did we wrap up that point? I want to come on to like do you have like a clear plan for what you want to do with the business, and is there like an end goal?
I have absolutely no plan.
Really?
Jack has more of a plan than me.
Like, do you have an exit
He's the
plan?
I have
philosopher.
no life plan.
He's the philosopher.
Except I need to earn a shitload of money. That's what I know.
Get rich or die trying.
No, the plan. Well, the plan is scale Counter Clean, launch new categories, laundry, and then dishes. Scale internationally, launch retail. That's the plan to build to 50 million broadly.
Yeah.
So 3 million this year, 10 million the year after, and then hopefully 30 million the year after that. And that's broadly the three things we're going to do: new product categories, international retail, and then the broader plan is we've got another business called Rubin Bros, which is me and Charlie's personal business, which is kind of partly owns the factory, and we're going to build that alongside, as Purdy and Fig's a big client, and we've got other brands that are clients as well that we do filling for, and build a manufacturing company, and then use that manufacturing company that can produce hopefully a wide range of stuff to use our knowledge from this business to build as many high margin direct to consumer companies as possible as one group.
Sick.
Yeah.
Why would you not focus on one? Because I find it such an interesting debate.
Well, we are focusing on Purdy and Fig for the next period of time.
Until we sell
would
it.
you do that after you sold it? Or are you talking like in the immediate
Yeah,
future?
that's after we sold it. After we sold it. Yeah, it's like a 30-year plan.
Oh, okay, right. That's a long. I'm talking like 3-5 year plan.
No, 3-5 year plans Purdy and Fig. It's the 50 million Purdy and Fig plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sell it when you get to 50 mil rev. So
Well, most companies sell. The higher your revenues, like if you look at a chart of acquisitions, it's like past the 10 million mark on revenue in direct to consumer. This is.
Yeah.
Like that's where every acquisition is, and then if you move past 30 million, it's like the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
So 80% are like past that. So if you're trying to sell, you've got to be thinking really as a kind of just as a like rule of logic, like past 30 million, and definitely past 10. Like you're not gonna sell really for a meaningful amount under 10 million in revenue. So
Yeah.
build a profitable business if it's going to be under 10, and take dividends and build another business after that. Right.
Not bad advice.
Yeah, I agree. I read so much about acquisitions, and I've had lots of advice from one guy in particular, Jimmy, who's also on the pod, who did sell his business Hairburst way past 30 million.
Nice.
I can't comment on the acquisition amount, but the revenue is way past that. I think he officially told me that. I've already said that. But yeah, I mean that was big.
So what was your advice about acquisitions? What was like his
similar
advice
to what you said in terms
Similar.
of, and I've read about this elsewhere as well. Other people like, if you want to get a revenue multiple, which is where you can potentially make 100 mil, you need to be past 30 mil. Yeah. That's when like a big buyer will come in.
Yeah.
And they're not going to pay an EBITDA multiple. They're going to fucking pay a revenue multiple potentially.
No.
If you're the next big thing doing 30 mil. And you want to sell at the right time as well, because you read about this all the time. People thought they could get more, and then you have a
Well, the
bad
buyers
year.
were kind of. My friend, my friend sold Luxy hair, Alex Icon.
Oh yeah,
Do you know him?
I feel like it rings a bell. I don't personally know.
But
Never
like
known.
Alex, like Luxy hair was one of the great ecom stories. Its conversion rate is like one of the best conversion rates around, and he sold for like 100 mil, and that was just a pro. That's like that. There are so many buyers. That was pro equity. It's just like, we can take this business, improve the margin, and roll into retail. Let's do it. So there's all that. I mean, everyone, we're thinking, obviously you loved the idea of Unilever, P&G, or whatever buying your business, because it's like that's on the front page of BBC News, but you're more likely going to be bought out by a private equity company.
Pure Ventures, True Capital, all these.
Piper or...
There's so many of them, yeah. I've actually got a spreadsheet I made with about 300 potential buyers, which I made before I launched the business.
Nice.
That's good.
It's really the wrong way to think about it, maybe, but...
people say that.
Start at the
We
end.
got asked in an investor meeting the other day, we got asked, what's your exit plan?
I've also got an actual spreadsheet of scenario planning. I like my equity, my numbers, the numbers we need to hit to be at X, Y, Z valuation.
Oh, that's good. I think that's preparation, basically.
Yeah, but that's just come from like
Have you got no plan?
getting it
I've
wrong
got
in the
no
past
plan,
as
but
well.
I'm not prepared, so you're going to be much more successful than me.
Yeah, are you even equity, both of you?
Yeah.
And then the 30-year plan, build that fucking massive brand,
30-year plan
and be
is
the next
Ruben
Unilever.
Rose, that is... Yeah, long term, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, once you've done this, also you realise like it's definitely a long term game. Once you've started to do it and understand it, it's all the values at the end. So, like the idea of stopping anywhere near like the first 10, 15 years, you're removing all the value from what you're doing, because it's like you get so much better. That last 15 years, you're going to make 3 times the amount you made in the first, or more, probably
Exponential.
10x
Yeah.
times. So exponential, exactly.
Yeah, everything's compounding.
Yeah.
Right, I want to wrap up with one final question that I've now started asking everyone. It's so fucking cliche, but maybe you can share the answers. If you give 3 bits of advice to your 18-year-old self, knowing what you know now,
Oh, God.
in life and business, but I guess maybe more relevantly kind of business geared, what would it be? Give 3 between you. And you have to think on the spot. 'cause
Trust your
everyone has
gut.
to think on
Trust
the
your
spot.
gut. Always trust your gut. The amount of times I've had a feeling and then I haven't gone with that, and then I've thought, that was the right answer. You knew it. You should have done that. No, so many times I can't count. So trust your gut, definitely. Act quickly. Act quickly. Don't hang around.
Is that number 2?
Don't think too hard. It's kind of like, it's a combination. Yeah, I guess it is number 2.
Yeah, it's number
It's
2.
like, don't think too much about things, basically.
Yeah.
We'll get shit done, kind of thing.
It's more, not just like for the sake of it, sort of, let me sort of colour 17 cells on an Excel thing, but don't overthink. It's very easy to overthink decisions.
Yeah,
and the truth is, if you make a mistake, it doesn't actually. There's very, very, very few mistakes that are you can't rectify.
Well, especially if it's
Doesn't really matter.
like the Amazon double door decision. So if it's a decision you can reverse out of from, just make it. If it's a decision that takes longer, then don't.
So what were the 2? That was
So you've got trust your gut.
trust your gut.
Yeah.
No decisions.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
You've got to give a 3rd.
Don't overthink it.
I'm trying to think about what I was like at 18.
Use triple whale.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't actually have one that I'm going to be proud of. So
Shower more.
yeah, get in shape when you're 18. Stay in shape. Yeah. So sorry.
Invest in Bitcoin.
That's probably a good one, to be fair.
Yeah.
Probably is.
What's been the best answer to that question so far?
Christ, I don't know. I've forgotten. It's all on the spot. People wing it. You have to go watch every other 37 episode. I guess with that said, we'll wrap the episode up. Jack, Charlie, it's been a pleasure. This was an interesting episode. I mean, every fucking episode is interesting. They're always crackers.
Nice.
They crescendo to a nice ending always. Probably the first episode we've actually not spoken about like girls and shit. But we'll let that slide for another time.
We don't know any girls, I don't think.
Yeah. As usual, if you're watching the pod, subscribe, leave a comment with your thoughts, recommend to a friend, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers for watching. Peace.